Dzień dobry,
Dzień
everybody
dobry.
who speaks Polish, which is most of you, and hello, good day to everybody who doesn't speak Polish. It's good to see you again. I just came back from teaching this morning 100 kilometers further away, and then we had some lunch there and came back here. So for that reason, I've already been teaching quite a bit today, so this afternoon we'll keep a little bit shorter than yesterday. So we will go until 3 hours from now. And what we'll do is I plan to give a little talk again, and then we do some meditation together, and then room for some questions. Does that sound like a good idea to all of you? Yeah? We can also just do 3 hours questions if you want to, or 3 hours meditation, but not 3 hours talk. That is too much. I only have so many things to talk about. And I repeat the same stories again and again. Anyway, yesterday I was talking to you. One of the stories I talked about was Jivaka, the Buddha's doctor. Do you remember? Yeah? How did Jivaka get his degree to be a doctor? Remember, he was searching for any kind of herb or plant in the area that he could not use to heal somebody. And when he couldn't find anything, he realized that every herb, everything I can use, that's when he passed his exam. Remember that story? Yeah? Remember also the moral of that story, that any life experience you can use, even the seemingly bad experiences, the things we don't like about ourselves or about our lives. These are what the Buddha called suffering. But suffering also you can actually use in life. So what I've been doing during this workshop is using that idea of a right view and taking the positive side of right view to inform our meditation. And I've talked also about uncertainty in life, and to use the uncertainty of life as a tool in your meditation. You never know what's going to happen in meditation, but whatever you experience, you can make something out of it. And in the Jataka tales, the Jataka tales are like stories which are supposedly about the Buddha's past life, but actually those stories were composed quite a long time after the Buddha, so the Buddha himself never taught them, but they still have some very nice stories in them. And in one of the stories, there is where the Buddha supposedly was a rich merchant, and the rich merchant was standing on the market, and he said to all the people there, "See, there's a dead mouse lying there on the floor, on the ground. And I predict that whoever picks up that dead mouse will make a lot and lots of money." Now everybody thought, that is stupid. Yeah, they didn't know that this was the Buddha in a past life in the story. It's probably it never happened, but it's a nice story. Yeah. And they thought, this is crazy. So nobody picked up the dead mouse. Would you pick up a dead mouse? No, not if it's lying in the middle of the floor somewhere, Even if somebody says, you will make a lot of money, you won't believe them. But there was a young boy, and he picked up the dead mouse. Yeah? And then he walked away with the dead mouse. And he walked out of the market, and then somebody said, "Oh, I need some food for my cat, actually. Can I buy the dead mouse from you?" Yeah, so the boy sold the dead mouse to the person, and then with that money he bought a little bit of sugar. It was just like maybe one bronze coin or whatever it was in the time of the Buddha. He bought some sugar. And that sugar he put in some water, and that water he sold to some farmers to grow flowers. Yeah, they put sugar water with the flowers, apparently they grow more quickly or something like that. Yeah. And so the story goes on, he made more and more money, and he became very, very rich. So the moral of that story is that even something as seemingly useless as a dead mouse can lead to a lot of wealth. And now in your life, in your meditation, you might have your dead mouses, so-called. Yeah? Maybe you have your anxieties, your maybe depression, your feeling of incompetence, your traumas, your worries, whatever it may be. You can use those and learn from them. It's like a dead mouse, you don't want it, but if you pick it up, look at what it is, and can make it into something. And actually, all our experiences can help us in life to grow. That is how we can use suffering to actually transcend suffering. I talked about that yesterday, how we can use suffering to get out of suffering. And that to me is always a very helpful idea, because it means that every experience you have can have something beneficial to it, can have something helpful to it. As long as you don't try to push it away, yeah, as long as you don't try to fight with your feelings. Now, another story I might like to tell you is the story of the uncertainty in life. So we've got the suffering in life, but we've also got the uncertainty in life. I talked about that yesterday as well. So uncertainty is linked to the idea of impermanence, right? Things are impermanent, then they are kind of uncertain. You don't know how long they're gonna stay. You don't know how long you're gonna be in a certain place, in a certain health, in a certain life even. And this is and this is the story of the appointment in Sammā. It's a famous story. Has anybody heard of that story before? Appointment in Sammā? It's a Persian story. And so it's not from the suttas. It sounds a bit like it, but it's not. It's a Persian story in the probably in the traditional Islam. And this also happened in a market, actually. Yeah, maybe it was the same rich merchant. Yeah, the rich merchant had a servant, and he asked that servant to go to another market to buy some goods and bring them back to him, to his boss. And the servant left, but soon came back, and his face was all white, shock on his face. And the boss asked the servant, "What happened? And why did you not bring the goods?" And the servant says, "Oh, this was in Baghdad, by the way, this happened." He said, "Oh, I went to the main market here in Baghdad, and I went where you asked me to, but before I could get there, I met death on the road. And death looked at me with big eyes, and he was coming for me. I could tell the way he was looking at me. So now I have to run away because I don't want to die. I'm going to Sammā." And this was a city very far away. "So can I borrow a horse? And I'll ride as fast and far as I can. So I'll be in Sammā tonight." And the boss said, "Yeah, okay, you can take a horse." So the guy took a horse and left for Sammā. An hour later, death walked into the merchant's store and looked at the merchant. And the merchant says, "Oh, you're Death, aren't you?" "Yes, I am Death." "This morning, did you see my servant on the road?" "Yes, I did," said Death. "And why did you look at him like that, like you were gonna try and kill him?" And Death said, "Oh, I wasn't looking at him like that. I was just looking very surprised to see him here today in Baghdad, while I was actually expecting to meet him tonight in Sammā." First of all, it's a very funny story, but it's also really very wise, because of course the teaching is that you can't escape your fate sometimes, and especially death. You might try to run away from things, but they'll chase you. And of course, death is something we can't escape, but it's also often with other things in life. Maybe you've got your anxiety. If you try and run away, I don't want to be anxious. Yeah, I want to get rid of this anxiety. It's just making me uncomfortable. And what happens? You just get more anxious. Yeah? Who recognizes that? At least I do. Yeah? And if you have maybe depression, or you try and get rid of it, you get more depressed. So instead, what we learn, at least this is how I've been trained by Ajahn Brahm, and I think this is how the Buddha taught as well, is to accept things, be in the present moment, and don't fight things. Don't try and get rid of them. And in this way, you can actually make those things part of your life and learn from them. Being in the present moment, looking at things as they are. Now actually that story of the dead mouse is actually also very, very nice story. But I actually came today from a town called Nanab. Sandy will know it, none of you will know. Sandy, she's local. Town called Nanab, and the organizer there of the Buddhist group, his partner is a horse trainer. Yeah, so she trains horses. And one day she was at a animal market, and there was in the corner in a corner plot there were one or two horses which were being sold to go to the knackers. That's like a butcher for useless horses. Yeah? So this horse, the owner thought this is a useless horse, can only sell it for meat, and that kind of meat you can't even give it to humans because it's not legal, so it would give it to, pigs or whatever. Yeah? So this horse, for $800 or Australian dollars, you could buy it. Just the price of the meat, basically. And it looked really like a rundown horse, but this lady, she bought a horse out of compassion, but also saw some potential in that horse. Yeah? So for $800 she bought the horse, she raised it, she trained it, and you know what? This is not a lie, this actually happened. Won more than $100,000 in the horse races. Yeah? So she saw potential in a horse that everybody else had given up on. And so I also see a potential in all of you. You might think you're a worthless horse, but you're actually race horses. You have that potential to be beautiful horses. And of course I'm not talking about money here, but about the potential of your heart and the potential of your mind to find all that wisdom that the Buddha talked about. And you can all find. Otherwise, if I didn't have that trust in you, why would I teach you, right? It's like, and there would be no use teaching you if I didn't believe that, but I do believe that. So you're all $100,000 worth horses in a way. The Buddha talked sometimes about stubborn horses and horses which are slow to train and horses which are quick to train. And maybe we are horses which are maybe not the quickest to train. I'm not the quickest. I've got my stupidities, but at least I'm still trainable. And the same for you as well. You're all what the Buddha called Purisa Dhamma. How you chant for the Buddha? Purisa Dhamma Sarati. Maybe some of you know that. We chant for the Buddha, that means Purisa Dhamma Sarati literally means the trainer or the charioteer of tameable people. That's what the Buddha said. I'm the teacher of people who can be tamed. So he really used that analogy of comparing us all to horses, and he said, people listen to me, they can be tamed. So you can all be tamed. And to allow that less beautiful sides of us to actually be part of our experience, to be part of life. That is actually so helpful in meditation. Because in meditation we sit there, accept the present moment. And if there's things in the present moment that you want to push away, that you don't like, parts about yourself that you don't like, then it will be very hard to just be in the present moment. And then you will try to run away from it. So even if the present moment is not the most beautiful moment, maybe you feel tired, sad, anxious, or you don't feel like meditating, and that is okay. That's all allowed. The most important thing is to be with that feeling. Allow it to be. Accept it as part of life, as part of our imperfections. And if we do that, then actually those feelings will lose their grip on us, and we can transform them into something beautiful. And maybe some of you have heard this story before, because I think I told it in Poland at some point a few years ago. It's the story of Keith Jarrett, who is the famous jazz piano player. Have any of you heard of Keith Jarrett? Maybe not, but some of you might have, maybe familiar with the name. Anyway, he was once invited. He was already quite not super well known yet, but he was decently well known jazz piano improviser. He was just play solo by himself and just improvise. And so he would give a whole hour concert just making things up on the spot. Now he was invited by some students to play in the opera house of Köln, a city in Germany. And now that opera house, they usually didn't do jazz, so the performance was planned very late at night, like 11 o'clock at night or something, just in the late hours. And Keith Jarrett actually, he was supposed to fly in with the airplane, but he decided in the end to take the car instead, and he was driving for many hours, like for 20 hours or something before he arrived there. He came from Switzerland, I believe, before he arrived there in the hall. So he was very tired already. And then 11 o'clock at night, and he asked the organizers for a specific type of piano that he usually played on, like some kind of Steinway or whatever it was, like a grand piano. But the people who organized it misunderstood him, and they did find a piano somewhere in a dusty basement of the opera house in some practice room, which happened to have the same brand. But that's where it ended. It had the same brand, but it was really bad. It was really badly tuned. It didn't sound right. All the high keys would sound like ding, 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 ding. And all the low keys, some of them didn't even work. And they sounded like whoom, whoom. And even the pedals of a piano didn't properly work, like for damping and stuff. So he got this really bad piano. So he tried a little bit before the audience came in and said, I can't play like this. This is useless piano and I feel tired. And he also had a lot of back pains at that time. He used to have to wear this whole brace around his body. And he said, it's too late, I'm too tired. And then this piano is not even tuned properly. And you can't just get a new piano last minute, right? Even if they would move it in, it would be all detuned. It actually takes hours to tune a piano properly if you have moved it. Even with my guitar, I used to have that, but with a piano, it's even much worse. So he couldn't play on it, and he told the organizers, and the organizers asked, please, can you just try? All the people are already standing outside waiting. They booked their ticket, and what else are we gonna do? And we know it's late, and we're sorry to not have the right piano, but please try. And Keith Jarrett says, okay, I'll try at least. And if you actually listen to that record, you hear him at the start just kind of testing around with those weird keys, and you hear him even using one of those pedals as like almost like a bass drum instead of a normal piano drum. You hear like goom, goom, goom. And you know what happened? This is the Köln concert by Keith Jarrett, and it is the most famous solo jazz record that was ever, piano record that was ever sold. The most best-selling solo piano record and the most best jazz album ever sold. So what Keith Jarrett thought was a useless piano was actually his major work. Yeah, something that sounded really bad, he made it into something beautiful. And he shouldn't have judged so quickly. And this is, if you meditate, you look at your mind and you think, what an ugly mind, you know. It's not beautiful at all. All the sounds coming from my mind, they sound very bad. And this is not working, and this is not rightly tuned. I should not meditate. I am useless. Well, you can think like that, but then you'll never get anywhere. You can also think, Keith Jarrett made the useless piano work. Maybe I can make this so-called useless mind work. Yeah, I even have that attitude sometimes, you know. My mind is not always, I wake up and I'm super happy all day, you know. I have to sometimes look at my mind, I'm not so happy today. Why? I don't know, but I'm just gonna sit there. Yeah, and I'm just gonna sit there and accept it as it is. See how it is, how this is. And the reason that this is important is to realize that these things, your mind, is not yours. It is just a part of nature. This is why this is connected to right view as well. If you think that you are in control of your mind, that your mind is yours, then you'll identify with your mind, and then you don't have the view of non-self with regard to your mind. But if you can sit back and just see the contents of the mind as something not to do with you, then you can be in the present moment. And to bring home that point, I want to show a little sutta to you. It's again my translation, just as yesterday. I will put it in the chat, but I will also share it on screen in a moment. And it's Majjhima Nikaya 131, the Bhat Ekarata Sutta. I translate that as beautiful day. It's sometimes also translated like auspicious night or something, but the word for night, in Pali has the same thing as in English the word day has. We can say one day as in 24 hours, but we can also say it's day when we mean light as opposed to night, right? So, but in Pali the word night has that same idea. You can say it's one night means one day. So, can you all see my screen here?
Yes, Ajahn.
Okay, very good. So you can also maybe find Polish translations. Please share in the chat if you want to. This is from my translation. Yeah. By the way, this is a website I made. You can also have a look if you want. If you click here on the I Love Suttas, then it will bring you to like the index. Here's some translations, some other things I wrote, and some sutta classes and so forth. I think even the some Polish things are on there as well. Maybe I'll put this on there later as well. We'll see. Anyway, you go to translations of the Pali Canon and then Majjhima Nikaya 131. A beautiful day. I heard the following. The Buddha was once staying in Jeta's Grove, Anantapindika's park at Savatthi. There he addressed the mendicants, or the monks and nuns, and also the lay people. "Mendicants, venerable sir," they replied. The Buddha then said, "Mendicants, I will teach you the recitation passage, or the short passage of a beautiful day, together with its explanation." And so, sometimes in the sutta, the Buddha has a certain passage that he wants people kind of to remember, and then the explanation is like the longer version that you don't usually recite. So in this case, the recitation passage is a certain set of verses. "Please listen and pay close attention to what I shall say." "Yes, sir," the mendicants replied. The Buddha then said, "Do not revive the past or yearn for the future. The past is gone, the future hasn't yet arrived. Be aware of whatever happens in the present. Practice to know it, unmoved, unshaken. Apply yourself today, be motivated. Tomorrow death may come, who knows? You can't bargain with mortality and his army." So mortality just means death, and the army of mortality is actually the defilements of the mind. "Practice like this day and night, being motivated, not lazy, and you'll have a beautiful day." So the sage at peace has said. Sage at peace stands for the Buddha. So be aware of whatever happens in the present, so the Buddha says here. And that means whatever happens, whether you like it or not, whether it is so-called wholesome or not, just be aware of it and accept it. Yeah? And then the Buddha says, how do you revive the past? So that's what you shouldn't do. Then you're looking for some kind of enjoyment there. Yeah? Sometimes we actually look at the past and feel lots of regrets or remorse, but in a way that's also a kind of enjoyment, because that regret or remorse, we think we can get something out of it. If we just have enough regret, enough remorse, then we will be better people or something like that. Or we can work out the past. If we just think about what that person said or what we did, if we just think about it enough, we can somehow find happiness in the present. So even bad memories are kind of like looking for enjoyment often. Yeah? If you're looking for, how do you revive the past? You're looking for enjoyment there, thinking, in the past I had such a form, or my body was like this, or in the past I had such a sensation or such a feeling. In the past I had such perception. In the past I had such a will. In the past I had such consciousness. That's how you revive the past. These are the 5 aggregates you might have heard before. The form, feeling or sensation, perception, the will and consciousness. That's just a way to kind of divide experience and part of life. So you can say, kind of sum it up like, in the past I was like this. Yeah? You think, and we'll see in a moment, that it's especially this sense of I which creates the problems. Yeah? So how do you not revive the past? Then you're not looking for enjoyment there, thinking, in the past I had such form, such sensation, such perception, such will, such consciousness. That's how you don't revive the past. And how do you yearn for the future? Then you're looking for enjoyment there, thinking, may I have such a form in the future, may I have such a sensation in the future, may I have such perception, such will, such consciousness in the future. That's how you yearn for the future. Now this journey can be very subtle. You can sit in meditation and think, I wish I was more happy. I wish I was more peaceful. And you might not even consciously think that. But a lot of restlessness is like that underlying tendency to look for certain feelings or sensations in your meditation and not just being here with whatever is here and now. Yeah, so how do you not yearn for the future? Then you're not looking for enjoyment there in that way. I won't read it aloud. Yeah. And the Buddha also says here earlier, whatever happens in the present, practice to know that unmoved and unshaken. You might have certain emotions, certain feelings in the present, and they really shake you, they really affect you. And the Buddha says here, how are you moved by what is present? Then, as an unlearned ordinary person who has not seen the worthy person, the noble ones, and who is not versed and trained in their teachings, you regard form to be owned by, to be part of, or to contain a self. Basically, you see this part, your form includes the body, but also certain sides and other perceptions. It doesn't, for this workshop, it doesn't exactly matter exactly what form is. But you see that as me. Yeah? For example, you might have pain in your body. And that also falls on the perception, by the way. Or on the sensation. Yeah, you have a certain feeling or sensation in your body and it's painful and you want to get rid of it. You think, oh, I am in so much pain. I am hurting so much. If you think like that, even like subconsciously, then you think that sensation, you think sensation to be owned by, to be part of, or to contain a self. The same with perception. Yeah, you regard perception to be owned by, to be part of, or to contain a self, or the will or consciousness to be owned by, to be part of, or to contain a self. That is how you are moved by what is present. Now this is the most important part of the sutta in a way, except for the verses maybe, is how are you not moved by what is present? So how can you be equanimous? How can you be happy with whatever you're experiencing, whether it is happiness or suffering? Then, as a learned noble disciple who has seen the worthy people, the noble ones, and who is well versed and trained in their teaching, you do not regard form to be owned by, to be part of, or to contain a self, or sensations to be part of, to be owned by, to be part of, or to contain a self, or perception, or will, or consciousness to be owned by, to be part of, or to contain a self. That's how you are not moved by what is present. So then the Buddha repeats the verses again. Do not revive the past or yearn for the future. The past is gone. The future hasn't yet arrived. Be aware of whatever happens in the present. Practice to know it, unmoved, unshaken. Apply yourself today. Be motivated. Tomorrow death may come, who knows. You can't bargain with mortality and its army. Practice like this day and night, being motivated, not lazy, and you'll have a beautiful day, so the sage at peace has said. Mendicants, I said I would teach you the recitation patches of a beautiful day together with his explanation, and that was with reference to this. That's what the Buddha said, and the mendicants were pleased and enjoyed his words. So, it's a kind of a short sutta, and the message is pretty clear, but to put it into practice, this idea of non-self, which is part of right view, has lots of aspects to it in our practice. And you can use this in very many ways. The Buddha's teachings are often very general, yeah, just what he just said, to not regard the aggregates as a self, but we can use that on multiple levels. So maybe you sit down for meditation and you feel a certain unhelpful emotions, yeah, maybe restlessness, ill will, unhappiness. If you think, oh, I want to get rid of this, I want to get something else, then you're actually seeing those feelings as a self, as a part of you. Instead, you can step back and see these are just feelings, just happenings in life, just events in life, you could say, and I don't need to be so upset by them. I don't need to fight them I don't need to get rid of them, try and get rid of them. Then you can find a lot of peace there. But it's also the case if you do find happiness in your meditation, and then you might get, yes, now I got it, finally. Yeah, I know how to meditate now. Yeah, if you are like that, then you again identify with things as a self. Then you're like, I am happy now, I know how to meditate. It's the same problem, but just with happy feelings. And then you'll find those happy feelings won't stay with you. They will leave you very quickly because you're trying to keep them actually. So you always have to find that kind of a healthy relationship between yourself and your experiences. Does that make sense to all of you? Yeah, and somebody rightly says in the chat, easy to understand, hard to master. Yeah, right, I agree with that. These teachings I might give you and these stories might sound very like Buddhism 101 maybe, or like, oh, Sunyo is not being serious, when is he gonna give us the real right deep view? Well, I can give talks like that as well, but it's actually these very simple teachings which you have to come back to again and again and again, and they are hard to master. If you really understand them, you would always find happiness wherever you are. And I bet for many of you, you don't always find happiness wherever you are. Yeah? Now, for those of you who might be waiting for my deeper teaching for the final review, how do you exactly use right view to solve all problems in life? Yeah? And I would say, here's a little joke. How do you keep an idiot in suspense? I'll tell you later. Sorry. Some people might do that to me as well. Yeah? No, it's because you might be waiting for me to give you the deep teachings on right view. But right view you have to find in your mind. Yeah? And right view is not something you find in the suttas, actually. Yeah? That's a bit of a weird thing to say, but it's true. Yeah, you don't find right view just by reading suttas. You have to find right view by being in the present moment and letting go. The Buddha said, maybe I can actually find that quote so I don't butcher it up. When the Buddha talked about right view, where is it? Or sorry, about right samadhi. Here is it. Let me use this one. I'll just copy it in the chat because it's only. Can I maybe show it on the screen? Let me see. Sorry, for today I did even less preparation than for yesterday. But when people don't prepare too much, I actually usually myself find often that the workshops are a bit more natural. So I don't mind having not prepared too much. But here is something I would like to show you. I'll share my screen again. I just copied it. Yeah. This is from various suttas, but this one is actually, you can find this quote in various suttas, but this one is from Samyutta Nikaya 48.50. 48.10, sorry. Can you still see it, the quote? Yeah. It says, what is capacity of unification? Then, as a noble disciple, having made letting go your means, you gain unification of mind. You gain unity of mind. Yeah? Having made letting go your means, you gain the samadhi. So letting go of the past and the future and being with whatever is here and now. That's how you gain the samadhi. So that's what the Buddha was talking about as well in that other sutta we just saw. Letting go of the past and future, being here and now. And that's a very simple teaching, right? Yeah. When we talk about meditation and samadhi, people have so many ideas, and they're usually all very good ideas. You can use that all. But here the Buddha is just saying, make letting go your means, letting go your foundation. Yeah, that's how you can find the samadhi. So that's the whole instruction is just let go. Let go of whatever stands in the way of peace, and then you'll find the peace. But that can be very difficult to do, to let go like that. Is this useful what I'm telling you? Let me see. Yeah, it's useful. I know it's maybe not the most deepest suttas on right view, but yeah, it's an angle I just like very much. So to remember these kind of simple instructions, present moment awareness, and to not identify with your suffering, and also not identify with your happiness, to see things as part of nature, as not self. That is a very helpful approach to meditation. And in that way we can also forgive ourselves when things don't go our way, because we know that meditation is not in control. We know that meditation happens because of causes in the past. Yeah? And it's almost like karma. Sometimes I like to look at my meditation as just sitting out my bad karma in a way. Yeah? And to look at it like that. But you also have to look at your mind. Sorry, where are you all? Here. Have to look at your mind and see what is the tendency of the mind. It sounds crazy, but part of you likes the suffering. Some of the suffering in your meditation, the restlessness, the sadness, you invite it in. You allow it in because part of you likes it. You're all a little bit like masochistic. Is that the right word? Yeah. And I say you, but it's for me as well. Yeah, you got this certain. Sometimes you have a choice in your mind. Yeah, you can just be peaceful and still, not thinking about anything, or you go thinking about things and regrets and worries and about the future and all this suffering. But you choose the suffering. Why? Yeah, because we think there's something there. Something. You look for enjoyment there. As the Buddha said in the sutta we just saw in Majjhima Nikaya on a beautiful day. You look for enjoyment there. And often we look for enjoyment in the suffering. The enjoyment in things which are actually, if you look at it more closely, are not enjoyable at all. Once in Bodhinyana monastery, where all the monks sit upstairs in the dining hall. Has any of you been to Bodhinyana monastery? Yeah, I think I recognize some of you, yeah. So anyway, when there's time for lunch, the monks sit upstairs waiting for the people to arrive in the monastery, and then when they're ready, all the monks come down. And sometimes somebody brings some soup, and then they bring up the soup early so the monks can have some warm soup before they go down, or something, yeah. And sometimes later, but in this occasion it was one of the people living in the monastery who made the soup. We call them anagarikas. Yeah, I think I said the same word yesterday. And they are the people who want to become monk. And they made a soup, and they presented the soup to Ajahn Brahm, and then they left, and Ajahn Brahm put some soup in his bowl, and he had a little taste, or in his cup, he had a little taste, and he was like, ugh, that's the saltiest soup I've ever had. Yeah? He didn't like it at all. So salty, so he pushed it to the next monk, and the next monk, maybe Ajahn Brahmali or Ajahn Api, I don't know, he took a little bit of soup and was like, oh, so salty, I don't know who made this, it's so way too salty. And then the next monk also had to taste it, and all the monks had to taste it. And when it came to me, I just pushed it to the next monk. And I don't say this to be like proud or anything, but I was the first monk to not taste the soup. And maybe the only one. And there never been such a popular soup in the whole of Bodhinyana. And it's funny because you can see how the monks kind of like to experiment with that suffering in a way. But I was like, yeah, I don't want to taste this soup. Everybody says it's suffering, it's salty, so why would I try and taste it? But in your mind, that often is ways that you can think that you know are suffering, yeah? And other people tell you it's suffering. Yeah? Salty thoughts, you could say, in our mind. Way too salty. You think about them again and again. Why? Yeah, because you do find some enjoyment there. So the Buddha is encouraging us to not go there and instead find the peace within. So, what I suggest is maybe some time for a few questions, and then after that we can take a little break and do some meditation, and then maybe I have some more to say, and maybe we have some questions. For now I kind of run out of things to say anyway.
We don't have questions on the chat, Ajahn. It's one reflection. Oh yes, Beata raised her hand, so Beata, please unmute.
I just want to make sure, Ajahn. So may I understand that, because people ask very often, they ask how to letting go, how easily letting go. So I just want to make sure if I understood exactly as I should. May I say the right view may help to letting go. The right view may lead to letting go. Or is there something else you can recommend it?
Yes, exactly. Maybe I should have said that myself, because that's kind of my message for you today. And sometimes I don't word myself very well, but that is my message, yeah, that right view leads to letting go. And that letting go then leads to the Sammādhi. So if you have the right view of suffering, impermanence and non-self, if you use that the right way, then it leads to letting go. You see that certain things are not yours, they're not owned by you, they're just parts of nature, all the thoughts in your mind, you can't control them. Then actually it leads you to disengage from all of that, and you can find a certain distance in your mind and find some peace with the nature of life, and realize that whatever's going on in your mind is not your fault. It's not nothing personal. You can see life just as a tree growing in the forest. I can see a few trees outside of my window, and some of the trees grow all strange, but nobody blames the tree for that. Yeah, if a tree doesn't grow straight, if it grows all crooked, it's just the nature of trees. Our mind is like a tree, our meditation is like a tree. It grows in certain ways, it behaves in certain ways, gets blown about by the wind in certain ways, but we don't blame ourselves for it. We don't blame as if there's a little me inside who is responsible for all our trouble. If you think like that, then you will find it very hard to let go. And also if you think there's a little me inside who's in control of it all, and I want to talk about that after the meditation a little bit. If you think you're in control of it all, then it'd be very hard to let go. So this idea of anatta, this idea of non-self, leads to letting go, which leads to samadhi. Same with suffering and impermanence, which were more my focus yesterday. Yeah, if you see there's things are suffering, you're not gonna hold on to them, right? You're gonna let them go. And if you know that things are not permanent and then they are unreliable, yeah, you can kind of embrace them as a fact of life, so you can still be happy, but just don't hold on to them. So that also leads again to letting go. So if you have a really right view about life, then meditation should be a lot easier, because it becomes easier to let go of things. And conversely, if you find it hard to let go of certain things in your life, or certain thoughts, certain emotions, then maybe instead of just forcing yourself, oh, I gotta let go of this, why am I holding on so much, let go, let go, let go. You can take a step back and see, what view do I have about this? Is there any kind of wrong view I might be entertaining here, that I might be upholding with regards to these things I'm thinking about? Can I relate to it differently? And if you change the way you relate to things, then the letting go happens by itself, because you don't want to hold on to things which are suffering. Yeah? So maybe can I make up some kind of a simile for that?
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't really think of a simile right now, but I hope you see that instead of you only looking at what does the holding on, you can also think of where does this holding on come from? Yeah? And is there anything I can change in my way of looking that leads me to let go? Yeah, so letting go comes from a certain kind of wisdom instead of willpower. As Ajahn Brahm says, don't use your willpower, use your wisdom power. Yeah. The wisdom power of right view instead of jumping right to right effort, right? One part of right effort is to let go of the unwholesome. And that has to come from a place of understanding, of seeing life as it actually is.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Do not use the willpower, just the wisdom power. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Ajahn. Thank you. Sadhu.
Anybody else have some equally helpful question, or maybe less helpful, but that's fine.
There is a question, but there is also a thought. Maybe you could give some reflection, some comment on it. So maybe I could read it. So first is, I get more peaceful as soon as I stop seeing my present moment pain as something that I'm presently causing. It's just not true. The momentum causing is not reachable from where I am right now. It's independent. It's not me. Tricky to stop seeing it that way.
I think this is from Valizar. Yeah, I think you're kind of understanding what I'm saying here is that if you have certain pains, whether they are emotional or physical, if you can step away from those and see they're not caused by you yourself, but caused by just life, let's say just part of life, then it's more easy to let them go because you don't take it so personally. Yeah, that's exactly the message I was hoping to get across. Yeah.
And there is one question. For me personally, it's really hard to keep some distance from my feelings when loved ones are sick. I think it worries me more than my own suffering, even though I know I can't control it. This burden pulls you in like a quagmire. Sorry, I don't know this word. Thoughts get heavier and heavier, making it hard to meditate and step back. How to deal with that?
fire is like a quicksand. You know quicksand? In the sand, you just sink into it. Yeah, or a swamp. Yeah, exactly. Bagno. Huh? Am I pronouncing? This person says it in the chat. Yeah. Okay. Yes, excellent. So yeah, so it's can be hard when other people are suffering and we want to help them out, and I recognize that as well. Right? And the problem is there's often not so much you can do, except for give the right example, or maybe give some helpful advice. But people often don't listen. Sometimes they don't even listen, or when they do listen, they still suffer. And also, actually, when they're sick, then it's often nothing you can do, even if they do listen. Yeah, sickness is just part of life. So that's also something we just have to learn to accept. And the Buddha also said one of the reflections that people should often do is that I will be separated from those I love. And this is a very difficult reflection. And it's not something you can just do from one day to the other. But it is something we have to learn to deal with. Yeah. But we can also look at it in like the bigger scope of life. Yeah. Other people suffer, and it's always been that way. You will also suffer. The Buddha also got sick. Everybody will suffer in some way or the other. So we are in this together. Whether you live in Poland or Australia, it's not different in a way. Whether you are a monk or a layperson, it's the same in a way. Whether you are a man or a woman or a different gender, it's also the same in many ways. We have particular suffering depending on our body and depending on where we live and depending on how old we are, but we all suffer together. And the Buddha said that in so many words that life is suffering. Some people suffer more than others, but you, whoever asked this question, you are also suffering from things. And that is not to make you sad. I don't say that to make you all despondent and depressed. No, I say that we can all recognize that this is our shared humanity. This is what brings us together. And this is what allows universal compassion for everybody, for every living being. Yeah, even whether you're a human or another animal, it's also in many ways the same. We're all suffering as well. And it might sound, if I ask you to contemplate the suffering of all beings, might sound overwhelming, actually. But I find very often the opposite. If I recognize the suffering of everybody, it in a way gives me strength to deal with my own suffering. I see, some people have it worse than me, some people have it and maybe better than me, but as a whole, in a way, we are very much the same. We all have the suffering of sickness and dying and different problems in life. And that gives our life very much the same flavor. Yeah. And for those of you who believe in rebirth or know about rebirth or are interested in the idea of rebirth, this is also a reflection you can do, which is from the suttas. The Buddha says, whatever suffering other beings are going through, I myself will also have gone through in a past life in this long chain of rebirth. And whatever happiness other beings are going through, I will also have had in this long life, all this succession of rebirths. So maybe you see somebody else, loved one, suffering, and you think, oh, I've been in that place myself as well. And then they have also been in a place where they were doing well, and then I was suffering. So we're all suffering together. Yeah? So we're all in samsara and together, whether you interpret that as rebirth or just suffering of life. And to see that we all share this problem actually opens up your heart, and it allows for compassion. And if you see others suffering, then practice compassion. Agnieszka, I think your name is, who asked this question. Practice a bit more opening up your heart and having compassion, not trying to solve the problem per se, but just to recognize, this is part of their life, but it's in a way it's also part of my life. It's part of everybody's life, the suffering. And that will actually make you very strong if you can practice that compassion properly. Compassion can be quite difficult actually, because it asks quite a lot of courage of you, and it asks you to really recognize the suffering and to not shove it under the carpet, to not ignore it. So therefore it can be very difficult. But I also sometimes, in my own meditation, I feel like there's a kind of a knot, something that stops me from going deeper, and it's often that I recognize I need to be practicing compassion, and not just letting go, or not just breathing in, breathing out, but actually actively this compassion, this recognition of suffering together with kindness and a willingness to feel other people, this empathy. Then you can often move on. So that's what I would recommend to you, to maybe actively practice some compassion, not just loving kindness. The Buddha taught different emotions, loving kindness, compassion, and so forth. Loving kindness and compassion are close together, but try actively generating some compassion.
Question. I've been practicing for many years and feel that the practice helps me greatly, but at the same time I feel tired from constantly confronting my own conditioning and constantly having to understand more and more. How should I respond to this tiredness?
I was a mountaineer once. It was a lady mountaineer. She was climbing a high mountain. Is there high mountains in Poland? Maybe. What's the highest mountain in Poland?
Tatra.
Tatra, okay. She was climbing Tatra mountain in Poland. Yeah, and she went for many days climbing. And the top, you think you get to the top and you reach there and there's another top behind. I don't know if you've ever walked in the mountains, but you always think you're at the top and then there's another and another and another. And at some point, Tatra thought, I'm turning back now. It's too much. I'm not reaching anywhere. And so she went. But she didn't know she was almost there. If she would have walked just for one more hour, she would have reached the top of Tatra mountain. So it's the same for you. Yeah? You're thinking it feels like you're not going anywhere, and maybe you reach a certain top and there's another top behind. But just keep walking, keep going. Yeah? And also, if you feel tired from constantly confronting your own conditioning, maybe you are fighting too much with your own mind in a way, trying too much to control it instead of just letting things be. Yeah? Now, if I see my own conditioning, and it's not always beautiful mind, it can be a bit dirty or whatever, then I don't fight it. I just be kind. Open up my heart to myself. Then you can always find energy there. Yeah. I see there's a few more questions, but I need a little break actually.
Sure.
So I will do those questions in maybe 10 minutes from now. Is that okay?
Sure. Okay, Ajahn. Sure.
Yeah. All right. See you in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Still?
Yes.
Excellent. So I'm sitting in our little Dhamma hall again to do some meditation with you. And sorry for leaving you kind of very suddenly saying, oh, I need to have a break, bye-bye. But I was getting really overheated. I was wearing too many clothes and I had my heater on. And then when you sit still and you meditate, you don't get so hot, but while all the talking and moving about, I got too hot. So I needed to change some of my clothes. I was even losing my mindfulness. I wasn't answering the question very well, even because I was focusing too much on how hot I was. Yeah, so you have to be kind to yourself. All of you can just turn off your camera and change your clothes, but I have to ask for it to stop. So thank you all for waiting, and welcome back, those who are back. And we're gonna meditate in a moment together, and after that I'll answer some more of your questions. Yeah, I've seen another question here from Marchi and from Agnieszka. By the way, feel welcome to just ask them in person, on the video if you can later. I'll answer those later anyway. First we'll meditate a little bit. Before I do, I want to say a little bit about that question. What was it again? The person who said they're getting tired of trying to fight with their conditioning. Let me see, what's this question? Yeah, confronting your own conditioning. And I said maybe you're trying a little bit too hard. And try and approach yourself with more kindness and acceptance. Instead of trying to change yourself, accept yourself as you already are. That is where the practice starts. Now accepting all your conditioning as being part of life, yeah? And in a way, as the Buddha says, nothing to do with you. You don't regard it as me or part of me. This conditioning is mine, it's my problem, it's I who has to change. If you think like that, yeah, then you get tired very quickly, because you don't have the right view that this has nothing to do with you, in a way. And then you can open up your heart, be kind to yourself, and accept yourself as you are. And there's a little story by this Greek author, Aesop. He wrote many of these very short stories, many of them about animals I like. This one is the sun and the moon, the sun and the wind. The sun and the wind had a little argument, and the sun said, I am the strongest of all the parts of nature, because when there is clouds I can burn them away, and when it's cold I can heat up the place. And the wind said, no, I am the strongest, because I can simply blow away the clouds, and I can make all trees break and everything. I'm much stronger. And the sun and the wind could not agree upon which of the two of them was the strongest. Then they looked down on earth, and they saw a traveler walking on the road. This traveler had their cloak on, because it was a winter day, had their cloak on. And then the sun and the wind, they agreed. Whoever gets the cloak off the traveler, they surely are the strongest of the two. So the sun said, okay, you go first, wind. Okay, and the wind thought, ha ha ha, here I go, I'm gonna blow so hard, I'm gonna blow that cloak off the person, yeah, the jacket, let's say. So there the wind went. And the wind gave it everything he got, harder and harder. The cloak came open a little bit, and the wind thought, yeah, I'm doing it, I'm getting rid of this cloak. Blowing harder, but then the traveler just put their cloak around themselves, just like monks can do their robes around themselves like this when it's cold. Yeah? And then it was the sun's turn, and the sun didn't go. The sun just gently shone his light down upon the earth. And soon the traveler, ooh, it's so hot. The traveler took off his own cloak. And the sun proved to be the stronger of the two. Because he got the cloak of the person, but not by force. Not by trying, but simply by being gentle and shining down on the earth. And the moral of the story is, kindness is what changes things. If you have your cloak of so-called defilements, yeah, the conditioning, as you call it, in your mind, and you want to get rid of those conditions, what do? Go away, conditions, go away, suffering. Well, it goes away a little bit, it opens up a little bit, but then it closes even tighter. Yeah? So you think you're getting somewhere, but it just, next day it's all back 3 times as hard. And it doesn't work like that. You have to be like the sun. All this conditioning, it's just part of life. Nothing personal. I accept it as it is. It's just part of suffering. I open up my heart and you shine down your kindness and compassion upon yourself. And you're like the sun. And you know, finally you're like, all these conditions, all these defilements so-called in my mind, I love them, I accept them. And as you do that, you get so warm inside, all those defilements, your mind takes them off by itself. Because it's that very attitude of, I have to get rid of things, I am in control, I am the wind trying to blow away. That whole attitude, that's where all the problems come from in the first place. Yeah? Because that's where the sense of self is hiding. The idea that you're in control, that you can do it, that you are the boss of your own life, which is not true. And if you accept life as it is, then that attitude of the self, the controller, falls away. And that's where peace can happen. And then you don't get so tired. Because the wind, in that story, the wind was really tired after a while, yeah. Got a real bad headache and still didn't get anywhere. But the sun was relaxed. The sun had lots of energy. And that's why the sun is always there and the wind not. Right? So the person who asked that question, see if you can change your attitude, be more like the sun. And I know this is very counterintuitive because you think it's not gonna work, yeah? I need to do something, I need to make it work, I need to blow off the jacket, I need to get rid of my defilements. If I don't do anything, nothing will happen. But it's not true. Just be like the sun and shine, have patience as well, yeah? The person didn't take their cloak off right away. It took a while for the person to get hot. Yeah? If you just shine for 5 minutes and then give up, this is not working, yeah, then that's the wrong attitude. Okay, I'll talk a bit more about that control later, and I'll also answer some other questions later as well that I have missed. But for now, I would like to meditate for half an hour together. Is that okay? I'll guide you a little bit as well in some of the themes that we've talked about so far. Let me get my little bell, it's in my room. So usually there's a bell here on the shrine, but the other monk is teaching in town now actually, and he took it with him. But I've got another one, spare one. All right. Dear friends, fellow beings in samsara, where we're all suffering in our own ways, but all suffering together, we're going to be meditating together as well and share this time together. And because I've been talking quite a lot, to change the mood, please listen to the sound of this bell, which I'll invite for you to ring 3 times. All you need to do is listen to the sound of the bell. Is always in the present. The present moment is like the sound of the bell. By which I mean, if I hit this bell, it will just sound a certain way. It's just the way the bell is, because of its shape, and its material, its size, it sounds a certain way. If you listen to the sound of the bell, you would be quite stupid to want the sound of the bell to sound different. You cannot change the sound of the bell. Just listen to the sound of it. That's the way the bell is. It's not me, not mine, not a self. I cannot control the bell. Moment. As the Buddha said, how are you not moved by the present moment? When you don't look at the aggregates or your experience as being owned by a self. Or to be a self. Look at your experience as part of nature. So what is your experience right now? Or sometimes your experience or my experience is already wrong. Instead, you can ask, what is happening right now? What's going on? And just like you listen to the sound of the bell, you listen to the sound of this moment. Whatever feelings are happening in this moment, running to the future or the past, and you can have faith in the Buddha that trying to find enjoyment in the future or past doesn't lead to that real contentment and happiness that we are looking for. If you want what the Buddha called a beautiful day, and focus on what's here and now. Arrived. So we can be aware of whatever happens in the present. Sounds are happening in the present, whatever feelings in the body are happening, also whatever thoughts are happening. Can you step back and be the observer, not interfere with experience? Movie from the outside. No anger, accepting life as it is. Maybe you can trust me that if you want to make changes, it always starts with acceptance first. And usually the change happens by itself. But you cannot make this into some kind of trick. You cannot say, oh, I'm gonna accept this moment so that it will change. If you think like that, you are not really accepting this moment. Because you only accept it if it changes, but no, that doesn't work. You have to allow it to be. One trick I like to use to make peace with the present moment is to imagine that the way I'm feeling right now is going to last for a long, long time, maybe even forever. And I'll never get out of this meditation, I'll never get out of this moment. Can I make peace with that? you've heard about or maybe experienced, all the insight and wisdom you've heard about, imagine that's never going to happen. Can you still find peace? That's letting go. If you can find that peace, you let go of that desire to attain things, the desire to change things. It's letting go of the hindrances. To be here and now, you might see that your mind starts what we call to unify. To come to one place in time. Past and future become so unimportant to you that you forget that they even exist. Because in a way they only do exist in your imagination. Mind in this moment, just relax. You can let go of all the burdens. There's things we have to do in life. Well, that's the same for everybody. We all have things to do in life, but not right now. The future will be fine. No need to worry. Right now, you're doing the best thing you could with your time. The most wholesome, skillful thing that you could possibly do in the whole of life you are doing right now. Isn't that beautiful? Relax, let go of your worries. Should I be doing something else? Should I do this or that? No. Relax, you are doing perfectly fine. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Relax your body as well. If there's any discomfort in your body, maybe change your posture if you need to. You can lean against the wall or sit on a chair. Even if right now you realize, oh, I should have actually sat somewhere else. Just mindfully get up, move, posture, sit down again. very important to take good care of your body. As I settle my mind in the present moment, letting go of the past and future, I get more clarity. I can see more clearly what's going on in my mind and body. That's why when I meditate, I never decide beforehand how am I going to meditate. Once you look at my mind, I told you yesterday about the wise cook who asks their master what they like. If you are a skilled meditator, you can look at your mind and body and ask yourself, what do you need? What would you like? If you get a clear answer to that, then please follow up on that. That compassion that I talked about before. Maybe you need something else. For me, I feel my body is tense. I just need to relax my body more deeply in this meditation. Want to follow along, for the next 10 or so minutes I will do a scan through the body and guide you through the body, relaxing all the different body parts. This is part of mindfulness of the body, one of those satipatthanas that we talked about. Along, I like to scan my body from head to feet. You can bring your awareness to your face. All the muscles that are in your face. Eyes, you can relax, letting go of the tension. Not looking for perfection, but just to find a little bit deeper peace in the body. That's good enough. Now start through the rest of your head, the back of your head. Surrendering all its muscles to gravity. head. And moving down to the tongue and the jaw. Keep a lot of tension there as well. That's okay, you don't need to keep tension now. Relaxing the jaw and tongue. Because of this, then you're doing it right. Again, don't look for perfect relaxation. You will never find that in the body. Just to feel a little bit more at ease, that's enough. And moving down to the neck. The front of the neck, to the sides and the back. Have to hold it so tight. Our head will keep above our shoulders by itself. Relaxing your neck, down to your shoulders. Carrying, just let it be. Surrendering your shoulders to gravity. And again, relax. Relaxation, like you're giving yourself a hug or a massage even. To the hands, relaxing your hands. What does it feel like to feel relaxed? You might notice that relaxing your body indirectly relaxes your mind as well. That's why this is such a helpful practice. To your back, especially first the upper back. If there are any pains in your body that don't easily relax, then at least make peace with it. Oh, this is the way it is, and it's okay. It's not so bad. I don't need to fight this. I can shine the warmth of my heart upon it. Even if it doesn't change, even if it doesn't get more comfortable. In a way, the comfort is not the goal, it's the way we look at our discomfort. That's what we want to train. With kindness, patience, Look at your upper back and relax. Your body to your torso, upper torso. Relax all the muscles in your chest. Setting some kindness there. And peace. Just relax. Now relaxing all the organs inside of your chest, your heart, your lungs, your liver. You might not know exactly where they are, but just send kindness to the inside of your body. Maybe you can even slow down your heartbeat a little bit. In the body still, to your abdomen, your belly. You have any pain there? Same thing, kindness, gentleness. There, but I learned even if the pain doesn't go away, I can always be kind to it. As you look at your body, also look at how your mind responds to the discomfort. And be kind to your mind as well at the same time. Control of your body. That this form is not me, not mine. And we don't look for enjoyment in the future. May this form and this feeling be like this. No, we just accept it as it is in the here and now. That's how you relax. Changing it, or by accepting it. And now lower your attention into your hips. And your upper legs. Again, surrendering to gravity. And your feet. Be kind to them. Your feet will walk you everywhere. Your body is not perfect, but it's good enough. It's good enough to listen to this talk, to do this practice together with all these other people. Towards our body. body. See if you feel a bit more relaxed than at the start of this meditation. Maybe not in your whole body, but certain parts of your body will probably feel more at ease. If so, then this was a successful meditation. But really what you trained was your mind. To be kind to the discomfort. To accept the suffering in the body. And can you see how your mind has changed in this half an hour? Maybe if your body stayed the same or didn't get more comfortable. Did your mind at least get more comfortable? Just relax once more into this moment. And ask yourself whether you followed my instructions or not. Did you serve the right dish to your mind? Was this a helpful meditation? Or maybe, should you maybe have tried something different? Maybe you were falling asleep. You should have actually, instead of relaxing, maybe you should have done something more energizing. Or maybe this was okay. You did find some peace. In any event, take that new found wisdom with you. Thank you all for meditating with me. I will now ring the bell to signal the end of this meditation together. Yeah, 1 minute to set back up in my room. Alright. It's kind of handy actually to have a Dhamma hall right next door. It's very different from Bodhinyana. I have to walk 20 minutes to get to the Dhamma hall. Here I can just one door. We hope to in the future build some huts here as well. In this new hermitage, we call it. And we've given it the name Harmony Hermitage. Maybe I can share, somebody can share a link to it in the chat if you want to have a quick look. Not much to see yet on the website, but maybe I can find it actually. Or maybe somebody can Google a bit. Can anybody do that? Yeah? Agatha? Thanks. And yeah, we call it Harmony Hermitage because we like to, as monks, live together in harmony with each other. And also in harmony with the lay people who come here every day to bring us food. Except for Sundays, then we go out to get food elsewhere. but also to live, most importantly, in harmony with the nature of our own mind and body, in harmony with life. And that's really that's one way to think about enlightenment. I like sometimes to make teachings seem very simple, but they are very deep. Yeah, maybe that's how I've been a little bit conditioned by Ajahn Brahm, because sometimes you might also think, oh, there's stories and so forth. They're a little bit simple, but no, the more you listen to them, you learn that there's a lot of wisdom there. And I don't say I have as much wisdom as Ajahn Brahm, but sometimes I also like to make things simple, relatable. And in a way to think about enlightenment as accepting life and being in harmony with life, no longer fighting life. That's a very deep way to think about it. And especially to realize about life that it's not in control. I've talked about that today. The main message has been that from the wisdom, especially the wisdom of non-self, the right view of anatta, we can let go, because we realize that we are not as much in control as we think we are, and that all these feelings, emotions, these aggregates do their own thing, and the more we try to mess with them, the more we mess it up. Yeah, and you've all heard the Ajahn Brahm simile of the water in the cup. I think I even said it yesterday. Now, to bring home that point, I want to read out another sutta. And don't worry for those who ask questions, I will answer them later still. Okay, thanks for sharing that link in the chat, by the way. You can have a real quick look, there's not much to see, but that's what we're doing here, trying to set up another monastery, just like some of you are doing with the Polish society. Early days, always interesting, yeah? Especially for the monks. Oh, are the people coming to bring food today, or will they have forgotten about us? Oh, you never know. But so far, they've always come, or when we go out to see them. And yeah, it's been, actually I've got more free time here sometimes than in Bodhinyana Monastery, because there's not much to do actually. We don't own this land yet, and we don't have any huts to build because we can't yet. But we're hoping to do in the future. But for that reason, it's very simple. We just do a little bit of cleaning and a little bit of maintenance. That's it. Anyway, I don't know if that interests you at all. Sometimes I just like to talk a little bit about more simple things like that. But let's look at the sutta that I've got for you. And I put the link in the chat. I'll also share my screen again, if I can find. That is here. Yes, and this is a very famous sutta. And it's again my translation. This is the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta. Has anybody heard of the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta? Hands up. Yeah, okay, maybe not everybody, but it's a famous sutta that is about non-self. Now this whole Zoom thing is in front of my screen, so I can't even read it, so I'll just minimize it. Okay, I will go through it a little bit quickly because I don't want this to be a whole sutta class, but so I will just highlight a few core ideas of this sutta that relate to what we've been talking about today. If you have any more questions about parts that I might skip or go too quickly, then you can ask them afterwards. Okay, the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta, the characteristic of anatta, the absence of a self. Atta means self and anatta means without a self. The Buddha was once staying in the deer park at the place of seers near Varanasi. There he addressed the group of 5 mendicants. So these were the first 5 followers of the Buddha. Mendicants, he said. Venerable sir, they replied. The Buddha then said, mendicants, form is without a self. Rupang anatang. Yeah? The form that includes the body, but also things we see, like light would be a form. Also, form can be certain perception in the mind, but in context of these 5 aggregates, it's most useful to think about it mainly about it being the body. But that's why you have this kind of awkward word, form, in English, because it captures a lot of things in it. And there's no good translation really for rupa that works perfectly well in English. But form is alright. Form is without a self. If form were oneself, if you owned your body, you could control it, thinking, my form won't be like that, like this, it will be like that. And it would not result in affliction. Now, if your body was yours, you would never get sick. And you would always be young and strong and never have any pain at all. If you meditate and I say relax your body, then immediately you would be super relaxed. But it's not that way. Because you're not in control, the Buddha says here. Because form is without a self, you can't control it. And it results in affliction. That's actually very liberating to know, you get sick, but it's not your fault. It's not because of you, it's because of nature, the nature of the body. The same with sensations or feeling, they are without a self. If the sensations were oneself, you can control it, thinking my sensation won't be like this, it'll be like that. Maybe you feel sad, that might be a certain sensation, and you think, I don't want to be sad, I want to be happy. Does that work? No, it doesn't. Why is that? Because sensation is without a self. You can't control it, and it results in affliction. And this is so very helpful way to use right view to let go. You look at your experiences in meditation and you try so hard, like the wind blowing. Try and make things happen. Try and control things. What the Buddha here is saying, you can't control it. It all does its own thing. And so you let go of the control. And paradoxically, that's when you find the peace. That's when the mind settles, becomes still. Because then you're like the sun, it is shining. Perception is without a self. The way you look at things is a part of perception. The way you maybe look at other people. You see certain people you get upset with, other people you think are your friends. That's the way you look at people. That's part of perception. The way you look at yourself. Are you a good person? Are you a bad person? If you think I'm a bad person, that's just a perception. And a perception is without a self. If it were part of yourself, if it were oneself, then you could control it, thinking, my perception won't be like this, it'll be like that. I won't perceive things this way, I will perceive things that way. I won't perceive things as attractive that are unattractive, I'll do it the other way. No, you can't just change it like that. If you could control it, it would not result in suffering, because you could always make it non-suffering in a way, or affliction. But because perception is without a self, you can't control it, and it results in affliction. So here the Buddha is also saying it's natural to have affliction, it's natural to have pain, because you can't control things. So it's okay to suffer from time to time. The will or your choices are without a self. This is one that can be very challenging to people, because they always think they're in control of, maybe they're not in control of their body. People can kind of understand that, and maybe they can understand my feelings are not in control, but the will, the thoughts, the controlling inside, at least I'm in control of my choices. But the Buddha is saying even your will or your choices, your volition is without a self. If it were oneself, you could control it, thinking my will won't be like this, it'll be like that. And it would not result in affliction. But because the will is without a self, you can't control it. and it results in affliction. All your thoughts, all it's not even your thoughts, all the thoughts, all the intentions that come up, especially in meditation. Can you see that these just come up all by themselves? Yeah? Who knows what your next thought is going to be? If you knew what your next thought was going to be, then it means you already thought it, because you think, oh, this is my next thought. It's going to be blah, blah, blah. But then you're already thinking blah, blah, blah. If you look closely, you'll see that thoughts just come up and go. And you're not in control of them. And the will below those thoughts, beneath those thoughts, is also not in your control. It might sound very frightening, but it actually leads to letting go. It gives you an opportunity to sit back and relax and let things happen. And then it's not your willpower, the will is without a self, but you use wisdom power. Wisdom is also without a self, but at least you don't have the delusion then that you're in control. Consciousness is without a self, and then the same story. So whatever you're aware of, what's coming into your awareness, can you control that? If you look closely, then no, Let's say a sound happens outside. Suddenly I hear that sound. I'm not in control of that. I cannot say, oh, I'm going to now suddenly not hear any sounds at all. So even consciousness happens by itself. Now the Buddha's bringing home this point. What do you think, mendicants? Or what do you think, people of the early Buddhist Polish society? What do you think? Is form permanent or temporary? This is also translated as impermanent, but sometimes I just change the words around, just for the sake of it, to give you a different flavor. Is form permanent or temporary? It's temporary. But what is temporary? Is that pleasant or suffering? It's suffering. And why is that? Because everything that's impermanent, that's temporary, is not ultimate peace. It's not nirvana, as we call it. Any kind of experience that comes and goes is not the ultimate peace of Nibbana, and therefore it's suffering in a sense. So it doesn't just mean that it's unsatisfying. That's sometimes also translated as unsatisfying. No, it's actually suffering, because it's not the ultimate pleasure. It's like the Sariputta compares it in one of the suttas to a person who is perfectly healthy, feels at ease, and suddenly they get sick. And that sickness is suffering. And it's the same with temporary experiences. Even very happy experiences, ultimately they are not the peace, the deepest peace that's unchanging, the peace of Nibbana. So then the Buddha says, what is temporary, suffering, and in the nature and of the nature to change? Is it right to regard that as it's me, it's mine, it's myself? The Buddha just says, if something is yourself, here he says, if it's yourself, you could control it, right? So if it was yours, if you owned this, then you could make something that's suffering, you could make it pleasant. And something that's changing, you could make it stay. Your emotions, for example, if you have happiness, you could keep it and it would never leave you. That's what it means, partly, for something to be yourself, part of you. But because things change and they are suffering, should you look at them as it's me, it's mine, it's myself? No, sir, the Buddha says. And then the sutta repeats this also for perceptions. They are also temporary, they are also suffering, and they are also not right to regard as me, mine, myself. These are just three ways that almost identical. It's me, it's mine, it's myself. Etang mama eso angasmi eso me atta. Similar ideas. No, sir. And the will, the consciousness, all the same story. As I said, I'll go through this sutta pretty quickly now. But the main point is here, you realize that these things, these parts of experience, your body, your mind is another way to think about it, and these 5 aggregates, they're all not me. They're all impermanent or temporary, and they're all dukkha, suffering. They're, as the Buddha says, anicca, dukkha, anatta. That's a good news actually, because that means we don't have to hold on to these things. We don't have to hold on to consciousness. We don't have to hold on to the will, to the volitions. We don't have to hold on to perceptions. We don't have to hold on to feelings or sensation. We don't have to hold on to form or the body. We can let go, knowing that this is not what we're looking for really. Yeah, there's some pleasure in having a comfortable body. There's pleasure in deep states of meditations, but ultimately they're still anicca, dukkha, anatta, so they're not the ultimate goal. So we don't need to strive so hard for that, all those things. And we can make peace and be kind to the suffering that we all share, because we all have these aggregates, and we can have as I talked about before, as an answer to one of the questions, can open up our hearts to the shared humanity that we have. Yeah, and then the Buddha says, for that reason, mendicants, whatever kinds of form there may be, whatever kind of sensation there may be, whatever kind of perception there may be, whatever kind of will there may be, whatever kinds of consciousness there may be, whether past, present or future, here or elsewhere, internal or external, that means like your own or others, or also can think consciousness internal is like of the mind and external is consciousness of the body. That's another way to think about it. Coarse or subtle, whether it is rough or nice, lowly or sublime, like low states of consciousness or very heavenly states of consciousness, whatever consciousness and will and perception and so forth there may be. By correctly understanding them in line with reality, through right view, you should regard all consciousness as it's not me, it's not mine, it's no self of mine. In other words, it's nothing to do with the so-called you. Life is just a process that does its own thing, which is not under control. And we are all conditioned to follow this path of the Buddha. One person asked, I'm fighting or I'm dealing with all my conditioning. But another way to think about it is instead of fighting your conditioning, is letting the conditions that put you on the path, let those conditions take over and let them guide your meditation instead of you being the little me inside who controls it all, which the Buddha just said is an illusion. Let just things happen by themselves. And if you see that it's not me, not mine, no self of mine, then you can relax. All your mistakes, so-called mistakes, your mistakes are not yours. They're part of existence, part of the universe doing its own thing. It's like a machine doing its thing, and we're just part of that. Part of this whole big universe in a way, and nothing we own. And all states of mind, all states of meditation are not ours, and we can't keep them. And then there's, as the Buddha said, there's nothing worth holding on to. One of my favorite quotes from the sutta, Sammā Dhamma na alang abhinivesaya. It means nothing is worth holding on to. You can let go of it all. Let go of all these aggregate nonsense. And as you do that, then, as a learned noble disciple, reading the sutta again, when you see this, when you have that right view, You get disillusioned with form, with perception, sensation, will, and consciousness. Yeah, you don't look for happiness there anymore. You don't put so much weight on it. Just I can just let it go. Yeah, when you're disillusioned with something, it means you let it go. You don't struggle so hard. And then being disillusioned, you lose the desire. And that's really what Nibbana is about, losing the desire. To always change things, to be a different person. Losing the desire to be better, losing the desire to be different, losing the desire to even find happiness in meditation. Instead, you're content with whatever happens. And by losing desire, the mind gets liberated. Yeah? This is where the liberation comes. And when it's liberated, you'll know it. You'll understand that the holy life is finished. The work is done. Rebirth has ended, so there is no hereafter. That's what the Buddha said. The 5 mendicants were pleased, enjoyed the Buddha's words. And while this talk was given, by no longer taking anything up, by no longer grasping, by letting go, you could also say, that's how I translated this at some point, by letting go, the minds of those 5 mendicants were liberated from the defilements. So this is how right view leads to liberation. But it's the same in meditation, you use these same kind of ideas. It's not me, it's not mine, it's no self of mine. That's how you can find peace within. Okay. What do you think? Do you agree with the Buddha? Yeah? And do you think that the Buddha teaches something helpful? Yeah? And do you also see the link of how this right view is not just at the end of the path, but you can also put it at the start in a way. Yeah? How this right view can help us in life. It's not only an intellectual idea or a deep idea for the end of the path. It's whatever you're struggling with. If you have wise ways to relate to it, that is part of right view. And then that right view you can use in your life to find more peace and happiness. Okay, if you all agree, I also agree. Yeah. And then now we have some more time for questions. And don't worry, I don't have to finish exactly at whatever it is for you, 12 o'clock. Yeah, it's just I wanted to make sure that if I'm tired, I don't have to go all the way to 1 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So we'll just go on until we have had enough.
2 hands and maybe maybe first we could read questions from the chat. And Beatka, Łukasz, could you please wait because they were asked as a first. So first from the chat, how to practice non-attachment and letting go when it comes to my own child suffering? How not to identify with their illness and the difficulties while at the same time not escaping parental responsibility? Can the principle of letting go become an excuse to avoid honestly looking at one's own role of as a parent?
Question. Letting go is not the same as not caring. Yeah? You have to let go of certain things. You have to let go of your ill will, for example. You have to let go of the idea that you're in control. You have to let go of looking for your own happiness. But you don't let go of compassion and kindness. And if you just practice being kind and compassionate, yeah, that's the same as letting go of ill will. Yeah, the enlightened beings will always be kind and compassionate because they have let go of whatever stands in the way of that. Yeah. Letting go itself is a kind of kindness. But if you just practice that, then you can trust me that will make you a great parent. So in a way, yeah, you let go of letting your happiness depend upon whether your children are doing well in school or whether they are healthy or not. You can be happy regardless of that, but still you care for them. Still you have compassion. And if you just practice being a compassionate person, then your intention to help comes automatically. You don't need to make that something you control or something you're on top of. And I used to have a brother who passed away actually when I was young. Yeah, he was very sick. And my parents had to learn to accept that they weren't in control of my brother's health because he was born with a sickness. And that's why he passed away as well. And we had to all as a family accept that part of life. Yeah, that my brother had passed away. And it took quite a while, especially for my parents. I was still quite young, so very flexible, more or less so. But it took a while for my parents to accept that. But eventually they did. And so you can't control always what happens to your children, but you still have compassion. And letting go won't stand in the way of you being a good parent. There was once a monk in Bodhinyana monastery. He was very kind, but he was struggling a lot. He was a monk for maybe 1 year. Then he realized, oh, actually I should not have become a monk. I should have, because he still had a kid who was maybe 10 years old or something. And he realized, oh, I have to go back and apologize to my son and help him out in life. That's also a kind of letting go. He let go of being a monk to be back with his child again. So don't be afraid that letting go will let you drop your responsibilities. You just approach those responsibilities from a different background, and that background is the kindness, the compassion. Yeah, so następne pytanie, proszę.
Karina,
Is
from
that
the
right?
chat. Yeah, yes, that's great. Następne pytanie, proszę, Ajahn. So Karina wrote a question in the chat, but she said that she could ask it by herself. So Karina, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. I didn't find a hand to raise, so I read my question. I'm starting to experience what it feels like to take a step back, not to take what others say personally, to accept events as they are, to go with the flow of life sometimes. But there seems to be two levels. The ordinary level, where I stay acting and planning and offering a helping hand. And a level where whatever I encounter seems to wash right over me and doesn't really affect me. So this is hard to describe. When I experience this, it is very helpful, but it's sometimes accompanied with a nagging thought of am I becoming selfish by not letting these events and comments affect me anymore? This is more on the second level. So is this just another thought that my mind takes to control or to play tricks with me? Or how can I deal with it? Thank you.
And first of all, I would like to say that I often get these questions where people say, oh, I'm starting to experience some peace and some contentment and the practice is working. And then I hear already coming up the word, but. You know, it's all going well, but. First of all, it's a good question, but focus on the first part of your question, mostly. On the part that's going well. Yeah, it is working. You're experiencing to some peace and some healthy kind of detachment. So that's good. Yeah. And that can be helpful to remind ourselves of that, so we don't get always trying to answer every question, always being on top of everything. There will always be unknowns until you're fully enlightened, right? You will always have a little bit of uncertainty. So that first, focus on things that are going well. And then second of all, so to actually get to your question, is you're not becoming selfish. If the events of others or suffering doesn't affect you so much. And the answer is no. And you become different. And you don't have to be a person who always you don't have to suffer when others are suffering. Let me put it that way. If you can stand outside of that, it's okay, but you still have compassion. Instead of suffering with others, you have the kindness towards them. And yeah, I recognize it sometimes, things are happening in the world and people get upset over them, and I'm like, yeah, it's part of the world, what can I do? And it doesn't feel bad to me to think like that, because there's a certain wisdom there, right? Often people suffer and they want to change the whole world, or they feel so unable to act, and then they get depressed. But to stand back and look upon the life with equanimity, the Buddha called it. Yeah. Have you heard of the word equanimity, Karina? Yeah. Equanimity, the word is upekkha, and it literally means looking on. Upa means on and upekkha means looking. So you're just looking on, not getting sad, not getting elated, just being neutral, and being the observer of life, and you don't get dragged along in the stream. You stand on the shore. The Buddha would also say, wise people, they've crossed the shore and they're not getting dragged along in the stream of life. You're standing on the dry land, and now you're getting your feet on the dry land, and you might feel, is this right, or should I just swim there in the river with everybody else? And my answer would be, no, get out of the river. You'll be different, and sometimes you'll feel that you're not fit in with all the people who are like fish in the river. But it's okay, we are stepping outside of what is normal in a way. But it's all good, don't worry. You're not becoming more selfish, you're just becoming a bit more detached in a good way.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Okay. So now Beatka and Łukasz, and then we come back to the chat. Okay, so Beata, could you ask?
Yeah, I'm here. So, Venerable Sunyo, you mentioned that the body is like a nature, and that just as nature, it can experience illness, aging, and various changes. I understand this perspective, of course, but however, I wonder whether can actively support the body in maintaining good health through the way we treat it on a daily basis. By this, I mean avoiding alcohol and drugs, eating healthy diet, engaging in regular physical activities and exercises, and generally taking good care of the body. From the perspective of the Buddha's teachings, can those actions generally contribute to health and well-being, or are health and illness primarily the results of other causes and conditions?
Okay. Now, of course, all those things can happen. And there's one sutta, I don't know which one it is, but it's a little bit of an obscure one, but there the Buddha says that there's various causes of diseases, and then he mentions karma is only one of those causes, and there's many other causes. Yeah? You could just be old, or you could just have a disease or whatever, and it's not caused by bad karma. So just but that's still nature of the body, right? And on the other hand, yeah, caring for your body is important. I go for walks, do exercise as well, but I do that without having too much attachment to my health. I know that ultimately it's not in my control whether I'm healthy or not. I could be eating all the vegan food in the world that I eat, and people could bring me the most healthy food. I could exercise and take care, but you still get sick eventually. Yeah. So in the end, it's not up to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. But maybe not as much as if you drink and eat not healthy and do nothing for your body. Isn't it?
Yeah, of course. So you could say you have some control, but there you have to realize that even the person who thinks that they are taking care of their body healthily, that is also a sense of self, I am taking care of my body. So that is also a sense of self. It's good to take care of your body. I don't say that you shouldn't, but that is also, in a way, the way you take care of your body is all conditioned. If you have listened to people say, oh, it's very healthy to stop drinking alcohol, you'll stop drinking alcohol maybe. And if people say, oh, it's very healthy to drink a few glasses of wine, then you might drink glasses of wine to be healthy. So it's all conditioned in a way as well, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Łukasz?
Łukasz.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Hello, it's me. Nice to see you too, of course, and all of you. And I just wanted only to relate to the guided meditation, which and that you, Ajahn, said that even if this state which I am in right now, in this state of meditation, will last forever, it's okay, and that is quite freeing for me. It was, because I don't know. Always in meditation, I think that something will come later, or I'm waiting for something, or also I had sometimes fears that when I'm in deep meditation, that maybe I will not come out of this, or it will last so long that something will happen. And just these words that even if it will last forever, it's okay. That was great for me. Actually, so just wanted to express it.
Guided meditations, I talk maybe more than you would like, but I do that to actually give people different instructions, and for different people, different things will stick. And I know that not everything I say in this guided meditation is always applicable to everyone, but that little trick to, just imagine I'm gonna feel like this forever. It's not true, but you can imagine if it were, and can you then make peace with that?
Yeah.
It takes away a lot of craving to move on to something more peaceful. Yeah. But it's also, if you make peace with that idea that, I'm just gonna sit here and my body is gonna be uncomfortable and maybe I can't focus on my breath in just whatever state I am in. It's okay. I don't need anything more. And of course, that's where the peace comes from, right? So then you're happy to be there, right here, right now. And it's kind of, you can also look at it like this. If you're really in the present moment, then you don't know really how long it is, because you lose all track of time. Yeah, it's like the joke of the 1,000, of the 1 million years being a second that I taught. I told that yesterday, right, to you? Yeah, maybe you weren't there yesterday. Were you there yesterday, Łukasz?
I was, but I don't remember this one. Can you remind me?
Okay, so there's the guy who goes to heaven and asks God,
this one.
what
Okay.
is 1,000 years to you? What is a million years to you?
I remember now.
Just a second.
And
What's
one
$1 million
pound.
to you? Just a penny. Yeah, can I have a penny? Yeah, just a second. Right? So if you're in the present moment, then you don't know, is this 1 second or a million years, because you're not focusing on time. So in a way, you just stretch out that perception of the present moment, like let's imagine it lasts forever. Yeah? Then you lose your idea of future and past also. Yeah. And if you're inside real deep meditations, then you also cannot tell. You can't even think about the future at all. Yeah. So thank you for that. I might use that more often than that instruction.
Thank you very much.
Lucas?
Yes, so next question from the chat. Regarding the sutta, if there's no control over volition, do we end up in determinism? How to reconcile that with the idea of appamada?
Okay, so this is a little bit of a more technical question. It's from Christoph. Thank you for asking. So to translate that a little bit for people, if there's no control over your choices, over your will, do we end up with the idea of determinism? So determinism is a philosophical idea that whatever might happen in the future is already determined. Yeah? Like if you would know how everything in the universe is arranged right now, then you could predict with 100% accuracy, if you have all the information, what's going to happen. It's like determinism. If you wind back the movie and you play it again, it'll play out in the exact same way. So Christoph is asking, if there's no free will, then is that the only alternative, that everything is already determined? And I would say no, because things can be random while still not being under our control. Yeah? So things might happen for any old reason that are not determined, but it's still not because there is a self in control of it. Yeah? It's too black and white to think, oh, there's either free will or determinism. There's all sorts of other options. And whatever option is true doesn't matter so much from the Buddhist perspective, as long as you keep in mind the idea of non-self. So whether it's determined or whether there's some randomness in the universe, that is not so important, but whatever it is, it's not in our control. Yeah? It's all non-self, it's anatta. So there is no free will in that sense, and that's actually very freeing. It can be very scary to accept that there's no free will, but it also leads to forgiveness. Forgiveness of your own so-called mistakes and others' so-called mistakes. I used to teach in the prison close by to Bodhinyana Monastery. I don't do it anymore because it's too far away now where I am. But there's all prisoners there. Yeah? And they are there because of things they've done in the past. The last talk I gave them, I talked a lot about forgiveness and kindness, and that I hold nothing against them, those prisoners, whatever they may have done, however cruel or bad, so-called bad. I know that they were just conditioned into that. Maybe they met bad friends, or they got into an addiction, or some things happened in their mind which were not up to them. It's all not out of their free will that they did the things they chose they kind of did. So that I can forgive them. So the idea of anatta leads to a lot of compassion. And how to reconcile the idea with the idea of appamada. So appamada means like heedfulness or diligence, right? To do your practice with diligence and to care about your practice. And the reconciliation is that the inspiration and motivation to practice does not come from your willpower, but it comes from your kindness and your wisdom, which are not something you control with volition, but which just comes over practice. So you can say that the appamada, the diligence or heedfulness, is also conditioned. in a way conditioned by the Buddha. The Buddha started teaching. He said, I set in motion the wheel of Dhamma. And the idea is very deep. It's not just that he spread the teachings, but it's actually he started in motion what we're doing here now. It's like, in a way, determined by the Buddha's action that we are here right now, and not determined by our own individual selves. It's all like a bigger whole, and even our diligence or heedfulness is conditioned by the Buddha's teachings. Yeah.
There's no other questions on the chat. Maybe someone wants to ask the question. You can raise your hand or put it in the chat.
I think there was still one that I saw. I will read it out then. Maybe they're not here anymore actually, but maybe they'll look at the recording. So this is from Anthony Cardas. They ask, I work in a warehouse, packing parcels and picking orders, and there's a lot of noise and chaos all around. How can I stay mindful in an environment like that? Sometimes I try to focus on my breath, but it's pretty much impossible under those conditions. Yeah? And my very quick answer for that would be, yeah, when you're in a situation where there's chaos, it's difficult to then recollect your mind and then be mindful. And I know that from working in the kitchen in Bodhinyana, for example, and lots of chaos there, lots of people asking you all sorts of things, and lots of things to arrange and clean up. And if you don't, in that moment, lose your peace, then it's kind of impossible to just say, oh, I have to focus. And it's too late. Instead, be prepared. In the morning before you go to work, meditate for a little bit. Sit down and relax, and then tell yourself, oh, I'm going to work now. I will be ready when chaos happens to stand back a little bit. And I don't mean physically, but mentally step back. And I did that in Bodhinyana also. And then I went into the kitchen, and I don't get so involved, not sucked into the chaos. It's like I'm looking at a movie, and it's chaos on the movie screen, but I am staying apart from that. And of course, you still do your job. You do your job more efficiently even, but you can emotionally stand back a bit and don't get too dragged around by that. Okay. So I don't see any other questions in the chat. If anybody still wants to ask any questions who is here, then I'm very happy to try and see if I have any meaningful answers.
We see Beata. Beata, would you like to ask something?
Yes, sorry about too many questions, but I think that's
You
good
got the
to know.
opportunity now. Yeah.
And just one more
Go for
question.
it.
How to get rid of conditions of beauty? For example, if I like some, I don't know, beauty body, beautiful house, beautiful bed, all those things, you know. So how to be like less, I don't know how to describe it, but how to be free of it and just be like, whatever it is, like it as it is. Maybe you have some advice for me, Ajahn. For example, okay, I will say the truth. I hate to be fat. I don't like fat bodies. And yeah, it's a little bit, awkward for me to say it, but that's what it is. So I think most of the people have it. So especially the woman. So we try to be better and better again, and it's actually tiring for me to be like that. So how can we get rid of it? Maybe you have some advice for us. Thank you. It's very...
So there's different ways to go about that, but I would like to tell you a little story of a French philosopher or writer. It's called Diderot. You might know François Diderot, and he wrote a little essay called "The Regrets of Parting with My Old Dressing Gown." So dressing gown is like a suit. Let's call it a suit for now. Yeah, regrets of parting with my old suit. So this really happened to him. He had a suit. He wrote, "It fit me very well. It was very comfortable. It was just an old brown suit, and it was worn down a little bit, but it was fine. And it was good enough. But then I walked through the shopping mall or the shopping street in Paris, probably, and I saw this beautiful red velvet suit, and I had to buy the suit. Yeah? So I threw away my old suit, or my old dressing gown, it's called, and I bought the red suit. And as soon as I had the red suit, I walked back into my home, and I looked at my couch, and the couch did not fit my red suit at all. The couch was old and dusty, so I had to change it for fancy Moroccan leather. And I changed my couch. Then it didn't fit the curtains. Yeah, the curtains were perfectly fine before. It was good curtains, but it just didn't fit with my new suit and my new couch. So I changed my curtains, and then I changed my curtains. I had to change my dresser, my cabinets, and he goes on and on, all the things he changed. And then he said, "I used to be very rich, but now I'm poor because of buying all those stuff." And then he wrote, "I used to be a master of my old dressing gown, but now I am a slave to my new one." And that's why the story is called "Regrets of Parting with My Old Dressing Gown." Regrets of doing away his old suit. And if you, Beata, if you attain the kind of slimness that you're looking for, then you'll find something else to fix. Yeah, oh yeah, maybe I am thin now, but now I need to fix up my hair. And you fix up your hair, and then you think, oh no, maybe now I need to buy some new clothing to fit my new physique. And maybe I need to trim my nails. And, even the most beautiful, so-called beautiful movie stars or models, they're still finding things that they're not happy with. Isn't that true? Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, my navel isn't beautiful or whatever, or my knees are ugly. Yeah. And then they go to a surgeon, to Beata, you'll get Botox and you'll get no, yeah, but you get the idea. Start just with knowing that you're good enough. Yeah, that you don't need to
It's
change.
not as bad, so just to treat everything as good as it is.
Yeah, and be content with things as they are. Yeah.
Condition.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
If you're taking decent care of your body, as you asked before, that's good enough. Yeah, don't need to be slim as long as you're healthy. You can take an example from Ajahn Brahm if you want to. He is very, very holy, he says. He's holy like a donut, very round at the outside but empty in the middle. Yeah,
but his heart is absolutely wow.
If I stay here in this monastery for many more years and people keep bringing the food that they have been, then soon I will be Ajahn Brahm II. I will be very fat as well. No, maybe not. But you can be happy either way, whether you're a bit more weighty or not. It's all good.
Okay. And now, Velizar or Belizar, maybe?
Belizar.
Okay, so you have a voice.
So When I meditate and when I just observe whatever it is without messing with it, maybe adding kindness and just the usual stuff, then sometimes I notice that there is something going on in some part of the mind, like there is suffering. There could be, for example, a tension in the body, although it doesn't resolve quickly, so it's just a choice of staying with it for a long time. But anyway, my problem is that I have the option of directing my attention there because it does not go there on its own. But if I do it, then it really takes away somewhat from my meditation. It adds this doing. I'm less available to be with it. And so I can feel it very over and over that it's a drawback. But my question is it just never worth it? Never worth directing, rotating where my attention is, or is it sometimes worth it?
Very good question. Yeah, you can definitely benefit a lot from directing your attention. And what I often do is when my body might be uncomfortable, I have two options. I relax it, or I just pull my attention away from my body and onto the mind or onto the happiness. And this is one of the reasons why if you want to have long meditations and find lots of peace, you'll have to find a place inside the mind where you're happy. If you keep focusing on your body, then if you sit for an hour or more, then everybody's body at some point will get uncomfortable. It's just the nature of the body. Yeah, maybe some within half an hour, some an hour, some maybe 2 hours or whatever. But if you keep focusing on your body, it will become uncomfortable. So you have to move your attention away from your body at some point and onto the happiness of the mind. And that becomes your object of meditation. And if you go into the real deep meditations, you cannot even feel your body anymore. And you're just inside of your mind. So it's very helpful to direct your mind in that direction. But when you do so, you have to do it kindly, without desire, and without thinking that you are in control, but out of wisdom instead of out of will. Yeah, so it might be very helpful to move your attention, and like focusing on the breath is also something the Buddha recommended. So you might have like pain in your back, for example, lower back pain or something, and then you can move your attention away from it to your breath, and then after a while you can't feel your back anymore because you just don't focus on it. And that's actually a very wholesome thing to do as well. Yeah, as long as you do it not out of ill will towards your back pain, but out of wisdom, and it's okay. But because if you move away from the pain out of aversion and ill will, then will eventually come back again. You don't not really letting it go. Does that make sense and answer your question?
Thank you. I think you're completely right about what I'm getting wrong.
So we can ask Maria, raise your hand.
Yes, thank you. Well, I have one comment and one question, or one comment with a question. I will see how it goes, because I'm working with people. I'm working as a therapist, and usually what I see that is working with emotions, with past traumas, etc. It's very important, but still I see that the thing that is behind or deeper is that this problem of letting go, of acceptance of things that have happened, or states that the person has at the moment. Sometimes, for example, it can be a depression or very deep anxiety, for example. And I was wondering, how can I help a person to realize that the acceptance or the letting go may be helpful, because the thing that I experienced by my own is that deep letting go that happened in my life, and it's resolved many things in my internal life. Not all of that, but quite a lot. Very important stuff happened. So now I have the knowledge that it is possible, and how does this feel? How does this state feel like? I mean, like, I know it because I reached it somehow. It was random, yeah, but it happened. But I can see that when I'm working with my clients, I see that they just don't know that state. They don't know where to go, and I would like to help them to see how can they reach that. That's my question. And just to comment, the thing you said during the guided meditation about imagining that it could last forever, the same thing that Łukasz said, that for me it had a glimpse that, okay, it may be helpful to imagine that it will last forever and be with that in peace. But maybe you have also another comment on that too.
Okay, it's a very good question. So let me see if I get it correctly. You're working with people in some kind of counselor or psychologist, and you're asking me, how can I encourage people to accept themselves so that they get better, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think if you tell people something, you'll say it in different words, but if you say something like, I encourage you to accept these feelings, then you'll feel better. If you say something like that, it won't work, because that's not real acceptance, right? Because then say, okay, I will accept it so that then I will change. Yeah, that's not real acceptance. It's the same in meditation. If I say, if you accept yourself, you'll find peace, it's true. But if you say, okay, I want that peace, so I will accept this so that I get peace, then you're not really accepting. So instead of saying to people, oh, you'll be better if you accept yourself, that won't work. Instead, at least from my perspective, what I would say is give people reasons to accept themselves. Come from that level of view, the underlying level, instead of going to the outcome. So I've been teaching you this structure of right view leading to letting go and acceptance, leading to happiness. So instead of starting with the outcome, the happiness, you go back to right view. You give people reasons to accept themselves. And let's say you have somebody, I had
examples.
Somebody. You can give examples. Yeah, maybe that's good.
Yes.
Give an example.
Maybe it could work. It's the state of no energy, no hopelessness through the 20 years. It's like the state of that nothing can change, and because nothing changes every time, it comes back to the same point, and it happened so many times, and still that person cannot change the view, change that underlying view. So it's just the constant feeling of hopelessness. So that's the state I'm thinking about.
So, depression, hopelessness can manifest in various forms. And so I would say there's roughly two types of depression. One is hopelessness about themselves, not feeling right about themselves. It can also be the second type is hopelessness about life in general. And if people, let's take the first example. People might feel not good about themselves. They think, oh, I'm not a good person. I feel so ashamed of myself. I wish I was better. You can see how that leads to depression, actually. I've been in those kind of depressions before. And instead of saying, oh, you should just accept yourself, no, I used to say, oh, what is behind that kind of thoughts, right? There's a wish there for you to improve. And there is a kind of caring there below all of that, that you want to be a better person. So these thoughts, although they make you sad, they have value. You should accept those thoughts. Would you want to be the kind of person who doesn't care about how good they are? No, you want to be the kind of person that cares, right? Who wants to improve. So there's actually a beauty behind that kind of depressed thoughts, the intention to improve. Yeah? And if people are, you can divide that up. You can analyze that in much more detail. Just ask people, what kind of things are you thinking? Yeah? And what kind of things are you telling yourself? And if you dig deeply, you often find that there is always good reasons. There's a certain beauty behind many of those thoughts, even though they do lead to depression sometimes. And I once had somebody also asking me actually a question about anxiety, which also can be related to depression. They asked me, oh, I feel so anxious about my kids, that they are going to hurt themselves, that something's going to happen to them, and I can't find any peace. And I said, oh, that's so wonderful that you are anxious about your kids. Would you want to be the kind of mother who is never anxious about their kids? And she said, no, I don't want to be that kind of mother. That sounds like a very bad mother who is never anxious about the kids. I said, great. So do you want to get rid of that anxiousness then? No, I want to keep it. Yeah. I said, okay, yeah. Maybe you just reduce it a little bit instead of trying to get completely rid of it. So you have to accept part of it as well. And same with depression. The thoughts that lead to it, there's often a kind of a goodness behind that. And if you can find that, then you can accept those thoughts. Yeah? And if there's kind of hopelessness about life, then you can say, yeah, there's a certain kind of realism, a certain kind of wisdom inside of there, that you see that there is suffering in life, and it will eventually for everybody result in death. Yeah, so do you want to ignore the nature of life, or you say, oh, these thoughts are actually part of the Buddha's first noble truth, right? The suffering of life. So actually wisdom there. So you want to get rid of that wisdom, or you want to keep it? No, I want to keep it. Okay. But maybe we can reduce the amount of suffering that it gives you. But you start with the acceptance of the basic thoughts. Yeah. There's this. Maybe I'll write down in the chat.
Ajahn, we have two questions, one on chat and one on raised hand. Is it okay to ask?
Yeah, it's all right. If I get too tired, then I will just say goodbye.
Agata, could you read?
But for Maria, just look in the chat. This is a psychologist, and he teaches lots of acceptance as well. So you can look that up. I found him very useful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So we have follow-up question from Agnieszka. However, there are things beyond our 100% control, such as disability or death. But how do we handle a situation where it is unclear what we can control and what we cannot? It is difficult to accept the uncertainty of life and the decisions that must be made during moments that are trying for the family.
Situation, just do the best you can. It sounds very like a simple answer, but instead of asking your question, what am I in control and what am I not, just say, oh, I don't know exactly what I'm in control of, but whatever I am, I will do the best as I can. Yeah? I will be kind and compassionate. And the way to approach problems of life, in my view, is not to focus on the outcome, on the solution, but focus more on where am I coming from. Am I coming from kindness? Am I coming from compassion? Am I coming from letting go? Then it doesn't matter whether I'm in control of things or not. It will end out the best anyway. Yeah.
Yes, is it okay? If could you ask your question?
Yeah, hello. I actually don't have a question. I have a comment. Thank you for yesterday's teaching, especially the meditation part, how to ask the body and mind what they want, what the body wants, what the mind wants, and it was very powerful for me. Thank you so much. And yesterday in the evening, then I did my evening meditation outdoors, and started with your underneath. Excuse me?
Must be summer where you are.
In Finland, we don't have the heat wave. We have a beautiful summer, warm breeze, and I was sitting underneath a tree in my garden, and then I was like asking my mind what the mind wants to do, and suddenly I was doing this air element meditation with the summer breeze, and it was wonderful, and it was very surprising because it hasn't been on my, I haven't been doing air element meditation, but suddenly my mind wanted to go that way, and I had a beautiful meditation. So I just want to thank you. That's all.
Okay, excellent. Well, that's very kind of you, Eva, and I think that's a good place for us all to finish. I also want to thank all of you, thank all the organizers, but also everybody who's been here for your attention. And if you go to, those of you who are on computer, if you go to the bottom of the screen, there is React, and you can click on something, and if we all click on something together, I'm not sure what will happen.
Yeah. Thank you, Ajahn. I don't know what to say. It was so rich, our meeting, and your stories, examples, are bridges to so deep Dhamma that I don't know how to describe it. So our practice will be richer. So thank you very much. Thank you all. And
Okay, excellent.
maybe next time. We'll see on another occasion.
We'll see next time. Yes, thank you very much, Ajahn. Mogę ja zapytać w polskim, jak wesprzeć Ajahna Sunyo finansowo?
Yes, of course. We tell about the Dana. Maybe on mail. Maybe do you want on Scribe to know how to support Ajahns monastery? We can send here information or in mails.
I want to maybe someone wants to support this your place. So that's what I might.
Okay.
Well,
so
the best support is continue your practice. Take the Buddha's teachings to heart. But if you want to support this monastery, then I think you can go to the link that was given earlier, and there will be some donation links, I think, in there somewhere.
Yeah, we'll send it to all of you mail after this workshop.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
There will be informations. And thank you very much.
Can I end with giving you all a little blessing?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So we will be finishing.
Basia, poczekaj, bo błogosławieństwo. Blessing of the Ajahn.
Thank you, and sorry.
Dziękuję. Okay. Nati me saranang anyam, Buddho me saranang warang, etena sarche vajena, sotite hotu sabada. Nati me saranang anyam, Dhammo me saranang warang, etena satyavajena sotite hotu sabada nati me saranang anyang sango me saranang warang etena satyavajena sotite hotu sabada. All right.
Thank you very much, Ajahn.
Bye, everybody.
Sadhu.
Sadhu,
Bye-bye.
sadhu, sadhu. Bye.